What's happening, security gang? Good morning. Well, obviously, I'm not recording in the morning. So let's just be 100% frank here. I'm pre-recording the episode. It's Monday evening here, right before nightfall. So I've still got some Las Vegas sun here and some natural light in the background. But doing the show here at 6 a.m. in the morning, waking up really early is a bit of a heavy lift. So just being completely honest about that, number one. Number two is schedule here is packed. 8 a.m. meetings and all of that good stuff. So pre-recording the episode. So I hope you all enjoy today's show. It's gonna be a blast. Coffee cup cheers to everyone enjoying it with your cup of coffee. If you're not at Hacker Summer Camp, I don't think you're missing out on much outside of just great people walking around. I've seen so many people around. It's actually been great. Just walking in between the various venues. I've ran into people like literally getting out of a cab. They're getting out of the cab in front of me. Headed to a meeting table next to me is so and so, and a table there. It's absolutely great. Thank you all for all the love. And yes, my media pass. I don't have one, and I don't really care to get one because I'm having the best conversations without having to deal with all the noise. So, with that being said, let's get into this morning's show because we have a lot to talk about, including news coming out of the Russia-Ukraine war. So the Russia-Ukraine war, as kinetic as it is in terms of drone attacks and missile attacks and the loss of life, which is all very, very tragic, the cyber side of it has also been immense. And over the first two and some odd years of this war, we saw Russia really take a beating on the Ukraine, consistently targeting the Ukrainian infrastructure, hacking the government, wiper malware, hacking critical infrastructure, and so forth. And over the last several weeks, we've seen a real increase of Ukrainian cyber attacks on Russia with some damaging information coming through. Something shifted in the Ukrainian plan. I don't know what it is over the last 2 to 3 months. Got some ideas, but I don't have proof to those ideas. So I'm not going to share a guess per se. But what I will say is we know that this war has not only the loss of life, which is tragic on both sides, but also the absolute cost that it's taken on Ukrainian families and children specifically. The Ukrainian military intelligence agency is now saying they hacked into Russian government servers in Crimea, which contained evidence of Russian forced deportation of Ukrainian children from occupied territories who were left without guardians. And then there's documentation in those systems of Russian citizens who are now becoming the legal guardians of Ukrainian children, and the addresses of locations where some of those Ukrainian children were relocated. This is one of those things in this war. It's not really talked about very often. The Ukrainian children that are being kidnapped, that are disappearing, that are being relocated into Russian families is happening day in and day out right now. The data shared with Ukrainian law enforcement for review and inclusion in ongoing criminal proceedings. The information will help find and bring the kidnapped children back to Ukraine and hold those responsible accountable. Listen, I'm going to say this now. This is significant. And it's just showing you nearly 20,000 Ukrainian children are confirmed to have been forcibly taken to Russia or Russian occupied territory since the start of the war. 20,000 Ukrainian children. Wow. Like, look, on the show, we talk a lot about vulnerabilities, a lot about hacks, a lot about all of this. This is showing you what kind of records are being kept. And it kind of goes back to post World War II and some of the stories I've heard of how the Nazis were essentially killing kids and families, but how they were keeping records of it. And now we're seeing the Russians do the same with these Ukrainian children, and that's just absolutely tragic. Ukrainian cyber operation targeted state services in Crimea was carried out with the support of a relatively unknown group called Kuiper Corpus, which claims to be part of HUR and posted details of the attack on its Telegram page. HUR hasn't publicly commented on Kuiper Corpus's involvement or affiliation. The group has claimed responsibility for previous attacks on Russian targets. So we have that there. Again, that price, man, 20,000 kids. As a father, it just boils my blood. I will say that. Showing you what cyber breaches in a good way can do, right? I mean, the positive aspect of this is now they know where those children are. Their families who were wondering about the fate of those children now know those children are alive and somewhere in Russia. And this can now become part of a negotiation to bring those kids back to their families, which is really, really important. We'll continue with the next story here. Chanel is the latest company reporting a data breach after the Salesforce data theft attacks. So Chanel said they first detected unauthorized activity on July 25th, where threat actors gained access to a database hosted on Salesforce. The breach only impacted U.S. customers and exposed their personal contact information. Based on the findings thus far of the investigation, the data obtained by unauthorized external party contained limited details of a subset of individuals who contacted Chanel's client care center in the U.S. That would include name, email address, mailing address, and phone number, none of which is PII. None of which is PII. In a sane regulatory world, this wouldn't even be reportable. It shouldn't be reportable because that information is public to begin with. You have no respect to privacy in any of this information. It used to be in a phone book. It shouldn't be there. I'll keep saying it on the show until it falls on the right ears so that we can fix it. Salesforce has not been compromised, according to a Salesforce statement. They say that the issue described are not due to any known vulnerability in our platform. While Salesforce builds enterprise-grade security in everything we do, customers also play a critical role in keeping their data safe. Similar to the Snowflake attack, folks, this is what we're seeing in Salesforce here as well. So this also is now adding Adidas, Qantas, Alliance Life, Louis Vuitton, Dior, and Tiffany, all victims of these Salesforce types of attacks. A jury now sending a message on app privacy and a ruling against Meta. This is about a tracking app called Flow. Apparently, the verdict reached Friday in a California federal court represents a significant loss for Meta in a closely watched civil case, setting boundaries on how far tech firms can go in collecting personal data for use in targeted advertising. Apparently, the amount of damages Meta will pay in class action cases remains unclear. The jurors found the company violated the California Invasion of Privacy Act. It's one of the first major verdicts dictating how tech companies can handle consumer health data, according to privacy advocates. The sends a message to the industry over this cross-tracking of data and then how they're using it for advertising purposes. And so Flow apparently is the woman's time at a month period tracking app. And apparently Meta was selling that information to advertisers. And apparently when this lady was, having her time in a month, she was getting specific ads. So now we'll see what that means. But again, comprehensive data privacy laws is going to have to be federal. And we need to pass the bills there. They just have to do it. All right. We'll continue to move with another story. This one huge. Like I said, we've kind of updated our RSS feed here on the show to find the type of stories you wouldn't really land on. This being one of those. A massive Bitcoin heist from December 2020 has just been exposed, making it the biggest crypto hack in history. Why? Because according to Arkham Intelligence, attackers stole 127,426 Bitcoins from Lubian, which is a Chinese mining pool. The stolen Bitcoin was worth $3.5 billion at the time, but now it's worth $14.5 billion, Lubian operated mining facilities in both China and Iran, and in 2020 controlled about 6% of the Bitcoin's total hash rate. Arcam's on-chain analysis found 90% of Lubian's Bitcoins was drained on December 28th. Additional funds were stolen 2 days later from a Bitcoin Omni layer address. Neither Lubian nor the attacker publicly acknowledging the breach. The funds remained dormant until a consolidation event in July of 2024. Researchers linked multiple addresses used in the theft, observed that each received the OAuth return messages from Lubian. The pool spent 1.4 Bitcoins across 1,516 transactions to appeal for stolen funds. And the funds are just sitting there. They haven't been moved. They're sitting in a wallet, haven't been moved. Unbelievable. Lubian still holds around 11,000 Bitcoins worth around 1.35 billion. But wow, never heard of it. And the money hasn't moved. Meaning this is someone who hacked it, is sitting on $14.5 billion, meaning they're a billionaire. They haven't moved the funds. Shows you. And this could be nation state, by the way. This could be a destabilization by a nation state, which used an agency in order to steal the funds and then are holding them there for some sort of D-Day. That could also be a possibility as well. So keep that in mind. All right, folks, before we continue with our next story, here's a message from our friends at we got to pay the bills, right? So Threat Locker, floor is all yours. Go see him at Black Hat while you're there.
Do zero-day exploits and supply chain attacks keep you up at night? Worry no more. You can harden your security with our friends at Threat Locker. Imagine taking a proactive deny-by-default approach to cybersecurity, blocking every action, process, and user unless specifically authorized by your team. Threat Locker helps you do this and provides a full audit of every action allowed or blocked for risk management and compliance. Onboarding and operation is fully supported by their US-based support team. Stop the exploitation of trusted applications within your organization to keep you running efficiently and secure, protected from ransomware. Worldwide companies like JetBlue trust Threat Locker to secure their data and keep their business operations flying high. To learn more about Threat Locker, if you're in Vegas for Black Hat, go check out their booth, 1933 on the floor, and tell them I sent you.
All right. Thanks to Threat Locker for supporting the show. We obviously appreciate it. If you're interested in supporting the show and getting your ad aired here, you can reach out to us directly at info@CyberHub Podcast, and someone from our team will be there for you. All right. Enough with that. Let's move to Wiz disclosing another set of vulnerabilities posing a significant risk to AI systems that rely on the NVIDIA products. In this case, the Triton in inference server. NVIDIA announcing an advisory published on Monday that more than a dozen vulnerabilities have been patched in the Triton inference server, an open source software enabling users to deploy any AI model from various deep learning and machine learning frameworks. Sorry, I'm stuffed up. I feel it in my nose. I'm stuffed up. I'm getting over it. So I apologize if I'm a bit boggy. Researchers at Wiz discovering 3 vulnerabilities: CVEs 2025-23319 or 23320 and 23334, that when chained together, an unauthenticated attacker can execute arbitrary code and take complete control of the server. CVEs 23319 and 23320 are high severity issues that affect the Python backend of the Triton inference servers for both Windows and Linux. They could be used and exploited for remote code execution, denial of service attacks, data tampering, information disclosure, while 2334 has been assigned a medium severity, but it impacts the Python backend and can lead to information disclosure. According to Wiz, the exploit chain starts with a minor information leak, but can escalate to a full system compromise. They published a full blog on it with technical details. You can go check it out. All available there. Not stepping away from NVIDIA for a moment, China now questioning NVIDIA over suspected backdoors in its H20 chips, bringing more tensions into the case. So China, the master of backdoors, is now worried that because they rely on AI chips from NVIDIA and because the U.S. lifted the export ban in order to maintain AI dominance. Again, smart decision there. I know some people disagree with it, but you do want to have some leverage over China, and blocking them on everything doesn't give you leverage. It just forces them to go do it and then compete with you with a lesser product, rather than establishing everything on your platform, that even when they try to compete, it's still you have the leading platform to do so. Either way, China's Cyberspace Administration summoning NVIDIA on July 31st over security concerns tied to its H20 chips. So China is demanding explanation and documentation, citing its cybersecurity data and privacy laws to protect users. So we'll see how NVIDIA deals with this one, but they have that there. SonicWall is urging customers to take their VPN devices offline after a massive ransomware campaign by the Experion ransomware group that's been targeting SonicWall firewall devices for initial access. Arctic Wolf revealing the incident on Friday. SonicWall has not responded to repeated requests for comment about the breaches, but published a blog on Monday afternoon confirming that it's aware of the campaign. Arctic Wolf, Google, and Huntress have both warned over the last 72 hours there's an increase in cyber incidents involving the Gen 7 SonicWall firewalls. They use the SSL protocol. They're actively investigating these, but SonicWall is now working with researchers on updating customers to do that. But there's been at least 20 reported incidents. So rip it, get rid of it, get something better, can get away from it. A newly discovered Linux malware has evaded detection for over a year, given attackers persistent SSH access and bypass authentication on some of these compromised systems. This is coming from Nextron system security researchers identifying the malware and dubbed it Plague. It's described as a malicious pluggable authentication module that uses layered obfuscation techniques and environment tampering to avoid detection by traditional security tools. The malware features anti-debugging capabilities to threat analysis and reverse engineering attempts, string obfuscation to make detection more difficult, hard-coded passwords for covert access, as well as the ability to hide session artifacts that would normally reveal attacker activity on an infected device. So something to keep in mind there as well. Honeywell patching several vulnerabilities in their Experion process knowledge system, industrial process control and automation solution. The existence of the flaw was brought to light by CISA when an advisory was published last week. According to the advisory, Honeywell experienced PKS products releases prior to R520.2 TCU 9er hotfix 1 and R530 TCU 3 hotfix 1 are affected by 6 vulnerabilities, including 1 classified as critical and high severity. The majority of these impact the control data access component, and they can lead to remote code execution, so you want to get those patched up as soon as possible. And CrowdStrike releasing their threat hunting report illustrating how the landscape marked by adversaries' evolving use of AI and a rise in cloud-focused intrusions is taking play. So the report bases on the frontline intelligence from CrowdStrike's elite threat hunters and intelligence analysis, talks a lot about AI weaponization accelerating. And again, one thing I will say about AI, as we use AI to make our lives easier, it's lowering the level for threat actors to enter into creating malicious code. Meaning, if you're able to manipulate or get a jailbroken version of an AI tool, you can do a lot of damage. So we're, CrowdStrike is seeing that. They're seeing it across various different adversaries, including the North Koreans. So there's cross-domain threats that fuel adversarial success, like Scattered Spider, which we talk about a lot here on the show. So you're seeing a lot of this. Go check out the report. It really is insightful. By the way, voice phishing is on track to double last year's volume by the end of this year. If you're not addressing it now, you should. You absolutely should. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back on Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern. By then, the show, again, I'll probably won't be doing any more live shows this week. The Monday morning show was the only live show I did. All the rest of the shows will probably be pre-recorded during some breaks I have in my schedule throughout the day, since everything here starts really early and goes really, really late. So until then, have a great rest of your day. And most importantly, y'all, stay cyber.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.